And last but not least, we have a special guest in the house. So, where is Senator Black? Come on up.
Thank you very much. I know we have many Vietnamese here in the group, and I see many friends, many dear friends. I think there's probably no one in the state of Virginia who has been a stronger advocate for the Vietnamese community than I have been, and I have really enjoyed very much working with you. We did the resolution that recorded the accurate history of what happened in Vietnam during the war, the enormous heroism of the soldiers of the Republic of South Vietnam, and how they fought, and how we fought together, the Americans, together with the Koreans and with the South Vietnamese. And I have been in the jungles, hand in hand, in the black darkness, where the only way that you could keep in touch with somebody was to literally hold his hand. And we won that war. The citizens who fought, and there were more South Vietnamese who fought and died by far than there were Americans and all of the others. It was the South Vietnamese who fought and won that war, and there were a group of people, and they were allied with the communists. And once the war was won, and once South Vietnam was secured, and they had won the Easter Offensive against an all-out communist attack, what happened? There were a group of communists, American communists, who had infiltrated the highest levels of government, and they cut off all of the arms and supplies and food and fuel and everything that it took for the South Vietnamese to fight the war. They deliberately destroyed the nation, the Republic of South Vietnam, and they forced millions of people into concentration camps and out onto the South China Sea, where they fled the people's paradise. And among those people who fought against the Vietnamese people were Bill and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton wants to be your president now. This is the woman whose husband said that he loathed the military. Now, if he loathed the American military, can you imagine what he thought of your husbands and your fathers and your grandfathers who fought and bled and died to keep Vietnam free? She has the lowest possible opinion of you and of me also. My blood is shed all over the clay around the Hoi An River south of Da Nang, because I wanted to win that war, because I wanted the people of South Vietnam to be free. And I still want the people of South Vietnam to be free. I am here to encourage everyone to support Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to take us in a totally new direction, and in one area in particular that has great importance to me is foreign policy. The United States has embarked on this crazy notion of regime change, where anybody who has enough cash can buy us off and use the American troops as mercenaries for the Saudi Arabians and send them out to topple secular countries in the Middle East. Countries like Libya, like Syria, like Yemen. We've got to stop it. We've had enough of it. We're tired of sending our people off to have their arms and legs blown off so that some Saudi sheik can make some more money on oil. It's time that we put America first. You know, the one thing that is so characteristic of the Vietnamese, also of the Koreans, of the Filipinos, is that they are small business people. They own their own companies, very many of them. They're entrepreneurs, and they're independent. And nothing threatens an entrepreneur more than a wave of crime. And if you go back the last 3 years, the Democrats have very systematically promoted and instigated a wave of mob violence and crime that's now sweeping the nation. And who does it threaten? It threatens the small businessman whose business is raided and looted, and all of the work that he's done for a lifetime is destroyed and just left in tatters. Donald Trump is going to stop that. Donald Trump will bring order, restore order to the United States of America. And I want to see that. You know, I remember back at a time when we had huge riots in L.A. And one of the most inspiring things is that the Korean community, they got on the Korean radio. And what did they say? In Korean, where nobody could understand what they were saying, they said, everybody rally, bring your guns, we're going down to Little Korea. And what did they do? They got up on the rooftops. And they're literally, it was like the cowboys and Indians. You had mobs in cars, and they were circling around, and you had the Koreans on the top, and they're firing down at the mob. And they stopped them. They stopped them dead in their tracks. And they saved Little Korea because they took it in their own hands. They had a country with a Second Amendment. And I will tell you, when you look at these trade deals, these massive trade deals, these impenetrable trade deals, they're designed to ship American jobs and American industries overseas in the interest of globalization. And also, there are things woven in there that take away our independence. And there will be foreign institutions that can take away your right to keep and bear arms. So that if you're a shop owner, where previously you could have a gun under the counter in case somebody comes in, all of a sudden somebody's going to say, no, no, you're a criminal if you defend yourself. And all of a sudden you become defenseless in the face of the mob. I don't want to be defenseless in the face of the mob. I want to be able to defend myself and my family and my children. So I want to encourage everyone. One of the things that you can do in addition to the things that were mentioned, each one of you has an email network. Now, some of the people live in Virginia. Some of the people may live in Vietnam. They may live in Korea. They may live in the Philippines. But they have friends and they have networks. Everybody you can communicate with. You get the word out that everybody needs to vote for Donald Trump. That he is the one who's going to turn us around. He's going to put an end to these archaic policies that we've been stuck with, the things that have been dragging us down and dragging us down. I'll tell you how bad it's gotten. Our voting system has been so corrupt. I talk with a wonderful, decent Christian family who have a very troubled boy who's in prison. He spent 10 years in prison. He got a letter from the president. And you know what it said? It said, I want you to register to vote. Think of that. He's in prison for crying out loud. And he's supposed to be registering to vote. There is more corruption in our voting system in this country than there is in half of the countries on the globe. You know, and you know what you're talking about when you say yes. We tell everybody on the globe, we say, oh, we don't trust your voting system. I'm going to tell you, we've got federal courts that forbid us from questioning people when they come in to vote to prove who they are. I mean, how much more bizarre can you get than that? If that is not corruption, And this is corruption that stems from the federal courts, from the United States Circuit Court. It is as corrupt as anything that occurs in North Korea or Iran or anywhere else you want. It's coming out of the federal courts, and it needs to be stopped. Well, anyway, first of all, I want to thank the Korean or the Vietnamese community for being magnificent citizens. I will never forget the moment when I attended a very large event. It was all Vietnamese years ago, and I couldn't understand many things that were said, but there was a wonderful businessman who got a very, very powerful individual, obviously, and I listened to him, and he got up and he talked about not what we deserve and what we ought to get and, you know, how we haven't been treated right and so forth. He spoke about how grateful we need to be, the Vietnamese, how grateful the Vietnamese need to be for the opportunity to be here, and how the Vietnamese needed to work harder than anybody else to show that they were good citizens. And I listened to him and I thought, do you know, if every American could be half the citizen of the people in this room, this country would be so great. And so I thank you for your patriotism and your heroism. God bless you all.